Well, hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome to the overview. Today we're having a look at A Way Out. Not really brand new or anything like that, but still relevant because the, pseudo-sequel, let's say the next release from this studio, Hazelight Studios, is just around the corner in a couple of weeks' time. And I was humming and hawing about whether I want to cover it. It looks cool. A Way Out and what's the other one? The Divorce Simulator. It Takes Two. Both of them heralded as excellent games and got a lot of Game of the Years between them. And as much as this new one looks very high polished and potentially fun, the idea of two modern female writers kind of Karening it up a bit, I don't know if I want to play that unironically. Don't hate me, that's just the setup. That's where I was at, and I thought the smartest way to go about it is to go back and play A Way Out, which I never actually played at release. I picked it up on cheap over Christmas. I knew this day was coming. I picked one of my good mates and we blocked out an afternoon to play through it pretty much in one sitting. And suffice to say, any doubts that I had about Split Fiction are put to bed. I will be going into that game with absolute wide open eyes and a very positive attitude because, make no mistake, A Way Out is one of the coolest game experiences I've ever had, ever. This is one of those games 10 years from now I will look back on fondly and remember this bit, that bit. A lot of the novelty is behind the narrative beats and where the game goes, and I'm going to have to use very cagey language and sparing B-roll, and this video probably won't go super long because the less you know, the better it will be. Spoilers is what will undo this. And before it gets away from me, for those on across it, I'm doing an experimental kind of review system this year. These overviews, I'm doing 100 over the course of the year and percentage ranking them from 1 to 100. The list is still being populated. It will bear fruit as it goes on. So for the moment, we're just filling in the gaps and ranking down through the 90%. So at the time of this recording, I'm putting this at 99% on my ranking. What that means more relevantly at the moment is I've put it underneath Death Stranding and above Tales of Iron 2. So suffice to say, one of the best games I've played this year, and we may need to re-examine doing older games, being that two games that didn't come out this year are holding the top spot. But let's not digress too much. Safe to say it's excellent. I highly recommend it. Pick a mate, pick the right mate, make sure you're on the right wavelength. Not some random dude off the internet through a lobby or something like that. Make sure it's one of your good mates and go in as blind as you can, buckle in. Like I said, we did it in one setting. Steam tells me 4.7 hours. I don't think we had any crashes or issues. I actually had issues recording some of my stuff. So we'll see how this B-roll goes, but that's a little bit more a me problem. So it's short and it's absolutely sweet. So from there, pick your poison. I think it's worth every cent full price, given the pedigree of what it is, but I can understand that some people will balk at it. I'm not sure how easy it is to set up like a friend code or whatever. I think they did something like that at release. I can't quite remember. So maybe wishlist it, pick it up on the cheap on a Steam sale. There's no hurry. This game's, getting on, 7 years old now, I guess. But yeah, short and sweet, kind of a must play. Gameplay light, let's not dance around that. It does escalate. Like I said, escalation is the word of the day with this game. To wind it back a little bit, any material that you've seen about it, or, if you haven't played it like me, you probably just think, oh, it's a break out of prison, Shawshank Redemption with gimmicky two-player puzzles. It is for just the beginning. And then it goes more places. And again, like I said, I don't want to give it away or spoil it, but I kind of just assumed it was going to be 5 or 6 hours of breaking out of a prison. No, more like 1/5 of the game is that. And even telling you that is kind of a spoiler, but it's one of those things, if you're someone like me that's dragged your feet playing it, maybe you do need a little bit more of a nudge, a bit more of a push to go out and play this before you somehow get it spoilt for you. But at least as far as escalation, not just gameplay, but narrative-wise, the meme that me and my mate were kind of throwing around, because, in the beginning, you're having a giggle about all the Shawshank homage rip-off mini puzzles and cracking your jokes and drinking your beers and having a gay old time, kind of laughing along / at the game and how ludicrous it kind of is and contrived. But by the mid-turn, by Act 2, it's turning into a Michael Bay movie explosions, bombast, throwback to all your favorite 80s and 90s B-grade action movies that, you know, is absolutely my bread and butter. In fact, we were kind of running a soft bingo in a way. Like, oh, I wonder if, you know, we're going to add this from a movie or that or whatever. And our hit rate was pretty good. It was like 60%. So everything that we could think of every stereotypical action set piece that two boys could ever want, two brothers, it was just about all in there. Absolutely wildly rewarding. And funnily enough, the Michael Bay film analogy by the third act turned into Michael Mann, right? And you came to realize that, you know, over the course of the bathtub curve, or it's more like a bloody exponent, to be perfectly honest, the way this game just ramps until the final credits. It went from novelty to brainless explosions to taut crime thriller. You know, it doesn't have a shootout like out of Heat or anything like that, but things like Miami Vice. If you revel in those sort of movies, then this game is so good. And I feel kind of bad even saying that much, but I didn't know that was in there. And if I did know that that's where this game went, and someone sort of tried their best without spoiling it like I'm trying to do now, explained these beats and the appeal, I would have jumped on this at launch. And, you know, nothing against Joseph Fares, who sort of carved out his own mini celebrity around the Game Awards, half as a meme and half as a kind of just a purist, happy gamer. It's hard to untangle as a normie from afar, because I'm quite cynical about the Game Awards. I'm not much of a fan. But when it starts getting all these awards and Game of the Year and all this sort of crap, how much of that is the people's voice and how much of this is the inside group that we're not part of critics propping it up? I don't think that's an unfair question to raise, but I'm here to tell you this is a game for gamers, for the boys. And to come full circle a little bit, that's why I'm actually kind of excited to play Female Writers Room Simulator. If it was anyone else except this Joseph Fares Hazelight Studio group putting out those trailers for the next game, I would be much less interested and excited. But this dude's proved his pedigree with this game. Anyway, look, I don't really want to say much more. It's going to be a bit of a shorter video because, again, it's very vibe heavy, talking broadly about concepts. As much as the story escalates, the finale is phenomenal. Absolute emotional roller coaster. Me and my mate were reeling. They do something with co-op that I've never seen before, ever. For a finale, mechanically it escalates. It gets into kind of third-person action game, bloody Max Payne 3-esque. Obviously not on the same budget. There's still jank. It's shooting its shot, but it really pushes the system for a game that starts out where you're trying to sneak hammers out of the bloody workshop in prison to end up in this bombastic multi-million-dollar style action set piece shootout finale type thing. It's wild. It shoots its shot, and the jank at that point, you are so invested that you let it have its day. It earned it. But yeah, like even talking about mechanics, it's very simple stuff. 1 button, 2 buttons. Sometimes it's like punch up little cutscenes where left click is punch, right click is counter. But most of it is the novelty of the scenario setting it up, right? You might be in the hospital part of the prison where one of you's distracting a guard or a nurse and the other guy's sneaking around to steal something, or you're trying to smuggle sheets out through a cart and cover a dude in sheets in the cart and get it past the guards and that sort of stuff. So like, it's less about the mechanical fidelity. It is all very basic stuff, but more about the sort of spectacle and that flies between nonsensical to awesome, and how these dudes found themselves in this situation and how you're going to get out of it. But yeah, talk about a game that absolutely earns it. Not that I was playing it ironically, really, in the first place. I knew full well that everyone says it's such a great game, but it really does. It really earns your respect as a gamer by the end of it. And it cuts both ways. It treats you with respect. Like I said, this game is made for gamers who enjoy this genre, enjoy these sort of movies. And honestly, I don't want to waffle, because to say much more risks giving it away even more. Chuck it on a wish list. Maybe do a sniff around, figure out if you need 2 copies. Like I just bought a copy for me and my mate over the Christmas sale for a couple of dollars. Maybe do the same thing. Maybe lock in Christmas at the end of the year, have an afternoon with a mate you haven't talked to in a while. Might be just what you need. And I suppose, keep an eye out for the Split Fiction review, which both of us are keen as anything. We're going to block out some time and lock in for that 100%. Anyway, that'll do me. Team, might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.